Today we'll be looking at an action fantasy romance called Arcana Famiglia. Spoilers ahead. The Arcana Famiglia members are introduced, in which each of them bear a contract with an Arcana power. During the birthday party for Mondo, the leader of the Arcana Famiglia, he announces that he plans to retire as the head of the organization in 2 months and that his successor will be the winner of the Arcana Duello, a fighting tournament among the Arcana Famiglia members. The winner will also marry his daughter Felicità, who is very unhappy with the decision, and this briefly causes a ruckus among the members. Later, Libertà and Nova both assure Felicità that she does not have to get married if one of them wins the Arcana Duello. Felicità remembers when she was first welcomed into the organization and respected by the members, but is soon reminded about the upcoming Arcana Duello. Later, Felicità and Libertà help Nova find a stray white kitten that has been wandering inside the mansion, though it was quite a struggle just to catch it. As they search for the owner of the kitten, they seek help from Debito, who narrows down a list of women due to the ribbon around the kitten's neck and its scent. After Felicità is able to read the kitten's heart using the lovers and see the face of its owner, a blonde woman wearing a fancy blue dress, the three are directed to a dress store owned by the woman named Frederica. As a token of her appreciation, Federica gives Felicità a white frilly dress. On the way home, Libertà and Nova tell Felicità that she should learn to control the lovers and should not randomly read the hearts of others. This gives Felicità the determination to win the Arcana Duello herself. Nova is forced to sing an embarrassing song as punishment for letting a kitten wander inside the mansion. Nova tells Felicità and Libertà that the housemaid Isabella saw a ghost earlier in the kitchen, but it is later learned that Luca used a white cloth and broom to scare Pace, who ate the entire first batch of baked sweets while sleepwalking. The baked sweets are for the Piccolino, an annual event held at the church to entertain children. After Luca performs a boring magic trick, Debito tells the children a scary story as a joke, in which an orphan was killed by a demon and its ghost still haunts the church. Luca and Pace recall when they would play with Debito inside the church when they were all kids. After lunch, Pace and Debito play soccer with the children, but end up hurting Luca in the process. Meanwhile, Sumire convinces Nova to participate in the Piccolino this year, despite the fact that Nova has trouble kindly interacting with children. As the children retreat inside the church due to a storm, they are all eventually escorted to their homes. After Debito escorts the last 2 children who are left with Felicità and Libertà, Nova arrives and catches sight of a child who is left behind named Elmo. Libertà retrieves a blanket for Elmo, but the latter chooses to leave the church instead, despite Nova's plea. Elmo is nowhere to be found when Nova chases after him to the outside. Debito is forced to drink a cup of tea as punishment for his obscene language used in the church in front of the children, but this makes him act a little too proper. Felicità and Libertà are tasked by Sumire to deliver a scarf to a woman named Giovanna, who gave a brooch to Sumire in the past. However, due to the sudden recollections of his past with Dante, Libertà becomes disturbed to the point where he and Felicità accidentally fall off a roof and destroy a shop. Having to spend the rest of the day working for the shop owner, Felicità and Libertà luckily run into Giovanna and give her the scarf. When Libertà discovers a familiar mask in the shop, he suddenly remembers that a masked man saved him from an orphanage. Later, Felicità accidentally looks into Dante's heart and sees a fragment of Libertà's past. She consults Dante, who reveals that it was 10 years ago when he was indeed the masked man who came to the orphanage where experiments were conducted to save Libertà, who inadvertently set it on fire by wishing for it to happen. In response, Dante sealed away Libertà's memories using the Emperor, which caused him to be bald, while Mondo sealed away Libertà's Arcana power, the Fool. After Libertà storms off when Felicità declines his request to read his heart, Dante tells Libertà that his memories are still sealed because he is not strong enough to accept his past just yet. Nova then tells Libertà to become stronger. Dante is forced to allow Felicità to read his heart as punishment, but seeing a bald head as a sunset at the beach makes this image very disturbing. When lemon meringue pie is served at the dining table, Libertà leaves in the middle of eating. Nova confronts Libertà, saying that Felicità has nothing to do with his issue with Dante. After helping Felicità deliver some lemon meringue pies to Sumire, Nova recalls his first time meeting Mondo and Sumire when he was younger, in which he was chosen to marry his cousin Felicità when he becomes older. Later, Felicità and Nova manage to catch some thieves while patrolling the town, returning the wallet back to a woman. Nova tells Felicità that she is destined to become the heir to the Arcana Famiglia, even though she assumes that people do not expect much from her. Nova has a dream about his parents wanting to gain control of the Arcana Famiglia when he becomes betrothed to Felicità. Luca later scolds Nova for being too cold towards Felicità, suggesting that he should be nice to her. Suspicious about an unequal distribution of funds to the research division, Nova sends Felicità to investigate upon the matter. However, on the way there, she encounters Jolly, who changed the lock on the door to the facility and is surprisingly aware of the suspicion. He hands her a stack of documents before she leaves, but she does not know that he is keeping a cylindrical tank with a floating object inside hidden behind a curtain. When Felicità returns to Nova with the documents, Nova stumbles upon his parents' clinical charts. Felicità is shocked when Nova reveals that he put his parents into a deep sleep using his Arcana power, Death, in order to protect Mondo and Sumire from being killed. Seeing that she grew up with a loving family unlike his, Nova tells Felicità to leave him alone for now. Luca is forced to make 20 more lemon meringue pies as punishment, possibly because the pie that he served was too small. Jolly informs the other members that Nova's father Marino has been kidnapped by pirates on a ship, but tells them to sit back until instructed otherwise. However, Felicità, Libertà and Nova eventually agree to rescue Marino instead. As the three go to the harbour and enter the ship, they are soon surrounded by the pirates in the main deck. After using Death to put the pirates into a deep sleep, Nova advises Felicità and Libertà to find Moreno before he becomes unconscious and the effect of Death wears off. As Felicità and Libertà later return to Nova with Moreno in tow, they encounter a masked pirate on the upper deck. Both Felicità and Libertà take on the masked pirate together, and Libertà manages to kick the masked pirate into the main mast. However, as the main mast cracks and leans towards Felicità, Libertà remembers how to use the fool and causes the mast to shatter. Libertà passes out and Felicità is knocked out by the masked pirate, who is revealed to be Dante after his mask cracks, with the pirates as his crew. Dante planned out this entire scheme to help Felicità, Libertà and Nova become stronger in time before the Arcana Duello. The three later wake up in the mansion's underground cellar, where Jolly shuns them for disobeying orders, aside from the fact that Moreno is now safe. After Jolly leaves, stating that their Arcana powers were possibly tested, the three wonder how Jolly was aware of what happened on the ship. Libertà is forced to drink a strange cocktail made by Jolly as punishment for encouraging Felicità and Nova to help rescue Moreno, but the effect of the cocktail has him describing his carnal desire for Felicità while he was in the underground cellar with her. Libertà and Nova are to personally deliver a letter from Sumire to Felicità, but with no luck of finding her in town. Instead, Libertà and Nova come across a girl who fled from Debito's casino, but Libertà and Nova end up handcuffed together rather than handcuffing the girl, who walks away. While trying to find Felicità, the two run into Jolly, who is shopping for caraway to concoct some medicine. Jolly believes that Luca has been secretly using a large amount of caraway for unknown reasons. Libertà and Nova pass by a fortune teller, who gives them a riddle which leads them to Federica at her dress shop. Meanwhile, Luca brings Felicità, Debito and Pace to his secret base away from the mansion, a place where he harvests a small herb garden yearly. Libertà and Nova follow Federica's kitten to a cave which leads to the herb garden, but the two fall for the trap set by Luca designed to ward off Jolly, having to use each other's swords to bypass them. Once Libertà and Nova meet Felicità, Luca, Debito and Pace in the herb garden during lunchtime, Debito unlocks the handcuffs and Luca shows them a potion containing caraway that was made to lure the kitten from the dress shop to the herb garden. Pace uses his camera to take a picture of all 6 of them at the herb garden, each of them having a copy for a keepsake. It is shown that Sumire had Giovanna act as a fortune teller. The letter that Felicità received from Sumire told her to kiss Libertà and Nova on their cheeks due to the amount of trouble went through to deliver the letter. Pace is forced to watch Luca and Debito eat a meal in front of him while tied up as punishment, all because Luca intended to take a picture solely with Felicità, but Pace breaks free from the ropes due to his extreme hunger. Felicità tells Luca that she saw Jolly walking in the streets with Elmo the previous night, but this stirs up a past grudge that Luca has against Jolly. After Felicità and Libertà confirm that Elmo is already acquainted with Jolly, Felicità is requested by Jolly to deliver a letter to Debito. Meanwhile, Luca and Pace discuss about how Debito's right eye under his eye patch is causing him a lot of pain. When Felicità delivers the letter to Debito, he states that his right eye is doing fine. After Pace confronts Jolly for somehow torturing Debito, Felicità asks Pace about the connection among Debito, Luca and Jolly, but Pace tells her not to worry about it. Felicità, Libertà and Nova later take the opportunity to clean the church with the other members. Felicità learns that Debito and Pace fooled around in the church, while Luca did most of the cleaning when the three were younger. Jolly arrives at the church, revealing that Debito has an amethyst implanted in place of his right eye to control his arcana power, the Hermit. Luca, Debito and Pace all received their stigmata, the contract marks placed somewhere on their bodies, from the successful experiments Jolly conducted on them. Later at night, Felicità, Libertà and Nova head to the research division facility, only to discover behind the curtain that Elmo is stored inside the cylindrical tank, in which Jolly explains to them that Elmo is a homunculus created by him. Felicità, Libertà and Nova are called in with the other members for an emergency, in which Mondo seemingly needs rest from exhaustion. Afterwards, Felicità learns from Jolly that Elmo bears a contract with an arcana power, the Tower. Dante explains that Mondo's arcana power, the World, hosts the remaining arcana powers without any hosts, which are slowly consuming Mondo's emotional strength and may soon put him into a coma. It is told that Felicità unconsciously used a second arcana power, the Wheel of Fortune, 13 years ago to save Sumire from going berserk after the latter tried to save Mondo with her arcana power, Judgment. Mondo created the Arcana Duello to find someone who will support Felicità after she might lose him. After asking Sumire why Mondo chose her arcana power, Felicità reads Mondo's heart, which shows a flashback of when he first chose to bear the contract with the world in order to fight alongside Jolly against enemy soldiers. Since Felicità is unable to control the lovers at will, Sumire warns Felicità not to use the Wheel of Fortune. When Felicità properly learns how to use the lovers on Libertà and Nova while they spar, seeing that they are both determined to win the Arcana Duello, she is then determined to save Mondo using the Wheel of Fortune, not knowing that she may lose her memories. Felicità uses the Wheel of Fortune and tries to change the relationship between Mondo and the world, which causes her to lose her memories. Nova explains to Libertà the situation regarding the Wheel of Fortune. Libertà then realizes that the three of them bore their contracts since birth, which Nova believes that the three of them are all related to each other. Libertà is surprised when he finds Nova's engagement ring meant for Felicità inside a dresser drawer while at Nova's house. Jolly anticipated for Felicità to attempt to save Mondo without telling her that she would lose her memories, but this is because Jolly may be the only one who can gain back Felicità's memories using his arcana power, the Moon, much to the worry of the other members. As Mondo assists Jolly in unbinding Felicità from the thorns in her mind, Libertà and Nova come to the rescue to slash through them. The other members appreciate Jolly for what he has done. At night, while Felicità walks down the corridor, she overhears Dante and Jolly saying that she actually did not change the relationship between Mondo and the world. When she returns to her room, the voice of the lovers advises her that love cannot be completed alone. The next day, Libertà and Nova are relieved that Felicità's memories have returned. Jolly summons Felicità to his office, where she says that the lovers can negate the consequences of the Wheel of Fortune. Jolly then suggests either Libertà or Nova to be her lover, which would allow her to save Mondo. Libertà and Nova then takes Felicità sailing to celebrate her recovery. Libertà expresses his aspiration to someday surpass Dante in skill, while Nova encourages Libertà to believe in himself. As it begins to rain, Felicità falls overboard, prompting Libertà and Nova to save her and take refuge on a nearby island. Nova finds some driftwood, and Libertà manages to light it on fire using the Fool. Felicità is visited by the voice of the lovers, who ask her if she found her answer of who she will choose. As Libertà and Nova report back to Dante, Nova blames himself for his actions, while defending Libertà for his achievement. Nova plans to awaken his parents, yet having no regret for putting them to sleep in the first place when he lost control of death back then, but Libertà tells Nova to be honest with himself instead. Felicità and Libertà convince Nova to head to the library to research on how to awaken his parents. Jolly advises Nova to use death with an even greater desire to awaken his parents, but with the possibility of it backfiring on him. Nova successfully uses death, and his parents are said to be slowly recovering. Mondo commences the Arcana Duello, with the victor receiving the title as head of the Arcana Famiglia and earning the right to marry Felicità. During the tournament, Felicità, Libertà, Nova, Debito, Pace, and Luca make it to the preliminary rounds. During the preliminary rounds, Felicità wins against Debito, Pace and Luca 1 by 1. Jolly, who withdrew from the tournament, tells the three that Felicità has to use the Wheel of Fortune, which will work after the lovers can nullify its effects of memory loss to save Mondo. Libertà and Nova, reminiscing on past memories, each manage to defeat Dante and Sumire respectively. In the semi-final round, Libertà and Nova fight each other. Felicità reads their hearts with their determination to win during their intense match, and she is persistently reminded by the voice of the lovers to choose one. The match between Libertà and Nova ends in a draw, since they both collapsed during the match. In the final round by default, Felicità fights and eventually defeats Mondo, being able to use the Wheel of Fortune without losing her memories to lengthen his life. During the celebration, Felicità wishes for Mondo to remain as head of the Arcana Famiglia for as long as he lives. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to let us know by leaving a like. Subscribe for more stories and check out other stories here.